world's largest casino braces for a record payout as 6 of the planet's best poker players battle for a prize pool approaching $1 million.
The World Poker Tour heats up the action in New England.
The World Poker Tour travels the globe featuring some of the biggest games and largest payouts on the planet. Today, we're at the Foxwoods Resort and Casino for the latest stop on this high-stakes journey around the world. If you want to play in this tournament, the cost is $10,000. Nearly 100 poker players took up the challenge knowing only 6 would make it to the WPT final table. In addition to the prize money, tonight's winner is also guaranteed a spot on the World Poker Tour Championship at the end of the year. There, they will battle the other WPT champs for millions of dollars. Now, down to the WPT Arena, where poker champ Mike Sexton and Hollywood's home game ace Vince Van Patten will call tonight's action.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the World Poker Tour. We're at the fabulous Foxwoods Resort and Casino in Connecticut for the No Limit Hold'em Championship event of the World Poker Finals.
Mike, yeah, it is great to be here. It's my first time here at Foxwoods. 6 players have made this final table, and they're all excellent players, and they're going for a $320,000 first prize. On top of that, if they win this tournament, they get a free entry into the World Poker Championships next year at Bellagio, and that's a $25,000 entry worth maybe $2 to $3 million.
Well, you're right, Vince. There's a lot at stake here. This event started 3 days ago with 89 players. We're down to our final 6 players. We've got some young lion superstars of the poker world, some wily veterans, some amateurs whose passion is poker. Our chip leader going into the final table is one of the young lions, Phil Ivey, the Tiger Woods of poker. He's our chip leader, starting today with 271,500 in chips.
Number 2 chip leader at this point is Lane Flack. He's from Montana originally, lives in Las Vegas. He has about $257,000 worth of chips.
Our next player is Ron Rose. Ron is a retired businessman from Dayton, Ohio. Ron's starting today with 116,500 in chips.
Okay, and in 4th place is Pete Giordano. He has $107,000 worth of chips, and he actually has a real job. He's a sales rep for Hewlett-Packard.
Next up is one of the truly great poker players in the world today, Howard Lederer, a professional poker player out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Howard starting today with 73,000 in chips.
Okay, and our short stack today in 6th place is Andy Block. He's a local. He used to be a lawyer, and he has $62,500.
All right, then we can shuffle up and start dealing plays.
Tournament director Mike Ward has just given the announcement to shuffle up and deal, Vince. We're playing No Limit Hold'em. 2 cards down and 5 cards up for everyone to play, and you can lose it all in a single hand.
Now look at this. Pete Giordano has picked up ace-king. That's big slick, a huge hand. He's got to raise with this one, you'd think.
Pete raises it to
You got to think he is.
15-5.
He comes in for 15,000.
Now that's a beautiful thing. The first hand, you have a great hand, big slick ace-king.
Andy Block looks at ace-9 and folds.
This is really exciting, Vince, to get to see these players' cards, because the viewers are going to get a nice insight on what these players are actually thinking.
Howard looks at a king-9 and he folds. Ron Rose with a king-deuce offsuit folds. 2 young guns, Lane Flack and Phil Ivey, fold, and Pete Giordano picks up the first hand.
Hey, that was easy.
Now that's got to be a good feeling for Peter Giordano right there, because he is up against some of the icons of the poker world right here, and getting that first hand under your belt, it's got to mean a lot to him.
Absolutely.
For those of you that are new to the game, we've got a quick tutorial on how to play Texas Hold'em. The game is No Limit Hold'em, the Cadillac of poker. It's a game that takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master. To start, each player is dealt 2 cards face down. Then, 5 community cards, cards everyone can play, are placed face up on the table. Each player combines their 2 hidden down cards with the community cards to make their best 5-card poker hand.
And betting is really what this game is all about. Let me explain. You get your first 2 cards, you make a bet. Then the dealer puts the first 3 community cards on the table. In poker, we call this the flop. They bet again. Then the dealer puts the 4th community card on the table. This is called the turn card. Once again, big round of betting. Then the last card. We call this the river. It's turned up on the table. They make a big last round of betting. Turn your cards over. You see who wins.
They call it No Limit Hold'em because there's no limit on how much a player can bet. At any moment, he can declare that he is all in and push all of his chips into the pot.
Right, and that makes chip position, or how many chips you have, very, very important in this game.
Well, Vince, as you know, it's very difficult to get to the finals of these championship events.
Here we go.
Phil Ivey's our chip leader. He folds.
He had a 5-8 offsuit.
Pete folds. Andy folds.
Now Howard's picked up a queen and a 9, 2 different suits, and he's going to call this.
He's in favorable position. He limps in, as we say. He just calls the big blind, as does Ron Rose in the small blind.
Big blind checks.
Look at this. We're going to see our first flop of the day. Three-way action.
Flop is 7-8-10.
7 with 2
Wait a second. He just caught this miracle. Ron has flopped a straight.
He's checked.
Lane checks.
And he's
Lane
going to check
checks. Now here's Howard. Now Howard's flopped an open-end straight. He has 7-8-9-10. And he's betting 7,000.
Howard bets 7,000.
Absolutely. Now, this is a perfect situation for Ron. Now, what do? You play it slow and just call, or do you raise?
No, he fires out $5,000 chips. He's bet 25,000.
$25,000
Lane folds, and now look at Howard. Now, here we are in the tournament. Now, Howard didn't start with that many chips today, only about 70,000. He's put 10,000 in this pot already. Now, Howard's a professional player. Usually professionals know when to get away from a hand. Howard has a draw, but most players don't want to put their money in with a draw. They want their opponents to be drawing at them.
So what to do? You thought you were in pretty good shape. Guy comes back at you and makes a nice solid raise.
He folds his hand. Ron Rose picks up the pot.
Well, that's just a thing of beauty. You're fooling around with 9-6 in your hand, and boom, you flop a straight. You can't stick around and wait for aces and kings all the time. You got to do what Ron Rose does. Play 9-6 offsuit, and maybe you'll get lucky.
I'll have to turn my game around instead of being passive to most aggressive, I guess, at this point, if I'm going to turn around and win.
Ron Rose, he's from my hometown of Dayton, Ohio. In fact, he went to the same high school I did.
The button goes to Lane Flack.
Now, the button, you're going to be hearing a lot about the button in this tournament, is that little white hockey puck that moves around the table each hand. It tells the dealer where to start dealing.
And the two players to the left of the dealer button have force bets called blinds. The blinds make sure there is action and money in the pot on every hand. Andy Block is going to be the first to act here.
Now, this is kind of interesting. He has an interesting hand. 10-9 of clubs, suited connectors, but he's quickly going to throw it away.
He's in early position. He opted to fold. And here's Howard Letter. Now, Howard's picked up a king and a jack.
9. Raise it 9.
And he's going to raise it. He comes in for 9,000.
Howard Letter raises to
Ron
9,000.
throws away a queen 9.
Call.
Lane Flack.
Lane
He's going to call. He's got a pair of 7s.
And Phil folds his hand.
Fold. We've got a
And
head
Pete
up
folds his
top
hand, and we got a
between
battle
Howard and
between
Lane.
two icons of poker.
Here we go.
Flop
Oh,
is
man.
king,
This
king,
is big for
5.
Howard. He's just flopped 3 of a kind.
Now look at the look. He's trying to stay calm, cool, and collected. Will he check or will he lead out at this flop?
Look at this poker face.
12,000.
He raised
Howard
before the
bets
flop,
12,000.
and he's going to bet after the flop.
Okay. He's making a little massage bet there.
Lane Flack
Lane
has got a
calls.
decision here. He calls.
He's calling. He's got kings and 7s.
I know.
Not bad.
It's not a bad flop for Lane's hand, actually.
Next card is a 10.
10 comes on the turn.
Look at Howard. Check it, like pretending like he has to look at his hand again. He's doing a little acting job here. Oh, boy.
And then he
They
checks,
both check.
Very
and
good.
Lane wisely checks behind him.
Next card is
The
a
6 comes at the river.
King, king, 10, 6, 5.
Howard moves all in right
Howard
here at the
bets all
river.
in.
Puts in all his chips.
He's moved all in. He's put Lane to the task here with 2 7s. Lane is wondering what is going on. The guy raised, he bet on the flop, he checked on 4th Street, and now he's moved in on me. Lane's putting all the pieces of this puzzle together.
Well, Howard's played this beautifully. I mean, you can't really think that he has a king. And the way he's so aggressive at the very end, you're thinking, okay, maybe he's trying to steal it. And that's exactly what he's trying to make Lane think. Now, Lane has kings and 7s. Not a bad hand. This is very interesting poker.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is a big decision for Lane right here. He's one of the very best, remember. He is one of the very best. They call him Lane Back-to-Back Flack because he won 2 consecutive no-limit hold'em tournaments last year at the World Championships. And he
Howard
makes the
wins
correct
the pot.
decision here. He lays this hand down.
Well, I'm impressed by Howard, Mike.
Howard is a very intelligent guy, has a sister, Annie Duke, that is also on the World Professional Tour. She's a top professional poker player, and they're both great players.
It's very hard to ignore, success or failure in this profession that we've chosen. I try and really take things one hand at a time.
Well, Vince, I got to tell you, even though Howard won that pot, I'm so impressed with the way Lane Flack played that hand. He lost the least he could lose with those 2 sevens.
These guys know when to lay down the hand. They know when they're beat, and that's what a good poker player has to do, is take his ego out of it. To be a good player, you have to have discipline, and that's what these guys have.
You're welcome.
Hey, this is one smart young player, great instincts. I think he knows he made the right decision there.
And the action's going to be on Howard here.
Back to Howard. Missed a 3 of a kind last hand. Takes a look at his hand this time. He has a bad hand, 5-2.
He folds. And Ron has an ace-deuce and opts to fold. And Lane folds a 6-7. And now here's Phil Ivey on the button raising.
He only has a 6 and an 8, but because he's on the button, which means he's last to act, he's going to raise it.
Now Peter's got an ace-5 of diamonds, and he calls the 9,000.
Andy has a pair of 9s. He's going over the top. He's going all in.
He's gone all in over both of them. This is a nice play by Andy right here. Phil Ivey's got a 6 and an 8. There's no chance he's going to call this.
No, he's not going to.
Well, the crowd cheers for Andy. He's a local here. Look at the look in his eyes. He's smiling.
A lot of local family here watching, too. He's got his parents and friends.
Nice rooting gallery for him. He's a super, super nice guy.
We'll be right back on the World Poker Tour.
Mom? Dad? Okay, I know I've been with Charles for 6 months now, and I know you're probably wondering why I haven't brought him home to meet you. Okay, here's the thing. I'm ashamed of him.
Good at bluffing? Play poker online at partypoker.com. It's fun, it's easy, it's the world's largest poker room.